This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles show. My name is Daniel Smrokowski, and I'm the founder of Special Chronicles, a Special Olympics Southern Travel International Global Messenger, and a service ambassador at United Airlines in Chicago. This is episode 488 and season 3, Pt5 of our Unified at Work series, which features conversations about the meaning of inclusive employment. The Unified at Work series is sponsored by Bridge, one of United's business resource groups that is connecting people of all abilities. And again, specialchronicles.com for links to follow Special Chronicles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And be sure to also to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, Special Chronicles, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe and rate and review us. In addition to listening to the audio podcast, you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube to watch the live stream and video episodes of this podcast, and sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com for links to subscribe and follow. Our guest this week on the Special Chronicles show is Stephen Yuen from United's Houston hub. So please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Stephen to the Special Chronicles show in our Unified at Work series. Welcome, Stephen. Welcome. So I'm sure we have a lot of new listeners, especially I'm sure there's a lot of people at United Airlines that will be tuning in to this podcast. And I'm sure other people in Special Olympics, Texas, and across the country or globe might be tuning in. So introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell us what disability you were diagnosed with, your role in Special Olympics movement, what state you are from, and your job at United.
Hi, I am Stephen Yuen. I was born in Houston and grew up in Sugar Land. I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3. I received a bachelor's degree in history from the University of Houston 2 years ago. I am currently enrolled in the Library Science Master's program at the San Jose State University. I have a strong interest in history and libraries. My career goal is to become a librarian who can provide services to people with special needs. I play for the FFASN Special Olympics team in Houston. I participate in basketball and bowling. I enjoy the teamwork and the excitement of playing in the tournament. My job at the United Airlines is Special Olympics Service Ambassador.
Awesome. So we'll hear a little bit more about your experience in Special Olympics and at United coming up in this episode. 488 of the Special Chronicles show. This is our Unified at Work series. So don't go away. We will be right back when we hear how you can support this podcast. We're going to take a quick break from our conversation today to learn how you can become a Special Chronicles supporter so we can continue to produce this podcast. Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Please, if you and your family love our weekly podcast, make a one-time, monthly, or annual gift of thanks today. Support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give. And now, back to the show to continue the conversation today. And back to the show. Our guest this week is Stephen Yuen from United's Houston hub. And so, Stephen, you gave us an introduction about yourself, but now tell us a little bit about how you first got involved in Special Olympics.
I became aware of the Special Olympics program at the Chinese Community Center in Houston when I was in high school. Through a team called FFASN, I began to participate in Special Olympics basketball and bowling tournaments.
Neat. And so now tell us a little bit about your early years, challenges and joys and accomplishments because of your disability.
I enrolled in special programs when I was in elementary school and middle school. I moved into a regular program in my last year in middle school. After I graduated from high school, I enrolled at the Houston Community College and later transferred to the University of Houston. It was a challenge to attend a major university. I was allowed to use a recorder in class and take my test in a test center. I had to put in extra effort to complete my homework, but I was happy that I passed all my classes with good grades.
Neat. Yeah, I had a lot of the same growing up in school. So I know you mentioned at the beginning of the episode it was some of the sports that you compete in, but tell us a little bit more about some of the sports. I think you said basketball and there was another sport, so tell us a little bit about some of the sports that you compete in.
I competed in basketball and bowling.
Neat. And have you been competing in basketball and bowling for a long time, for the same amount of years, or did you start with one sport and then you went to another sport? Have you been competing in basketball and bowling for the same?
I started with basketball first.
Neat. Yeah, I also compete in basketball here in Illinois. So I also as I'm sure some of our listeners know, there's the athlete leadership program. So tell us about how you first became an athlete leader and got involved in the athlete leadership programs in Texas.
I first started basketball as I have remembered when I was in high school.
Neat. And have you been involved in the athlete leadership programs for a while, like giving speeches or?
I was made aware of the athlete leadership program by AJ Edinson and Bruce Clark from the Special Olympics program. I later attended a seminar by Sean Lindsay.
Neat. And I'm sure being involved in the athlete leadership program is probably prepared you for your job at United as a service ambassador. So we're going to go ahead and take another short break. When we come back, we'll hear how Stephen's involvement in Special Olympics has helped him prepare him for his role at United Airlines, and we'll hear all about working as a service ambassador at United in Houston. So our conversation with Steven will continue after the break right here on SpecialChronicles.com. We'll be right back. Support for Special Chronicles comes from ComEd. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program. The Energy Force is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives and really is powering us here at Special Chronicles to keep the lights on and our technology is powered on. As ComEd powers the lives of us, they're literally giving a voice to people with special needs. We thank ComEd for the generous support of our mission at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. And we're back. Our guest is Steven Yuen from United's Houston hub. And we in the first segment, we heard about your involvement in the Special Olympics. And so now we're going to transition and talk a little bit about your United Airlines. So, Steven, how did you first hear about? Because if people have been listening to this podcast and this Unified at Work series for the past 3 years, then our listeners know that myself and 3 other athletes here in Illinois were the original the first 4 original service ambassadors in Chicago, where this program got started. But now, about a year ago, expanded to Denver and in Houston. And so, how did you first hear about the job and this inclusive employment opportunity at United Airlines? How did you hear about the service ambassador job?
I first heard about it from my basketball coach at the Special Olympics team. I thought it was a good opportunity and I decided to apply.
Neat. And did you know a lot about working in airport or working for an airline? So let's now go on and tell us a little bit about the training that you received at United, because now we'll by the time our listeners hear this, it'll be about a year before you that you've been employed. So going back to, I think in the last fall of 2021, when you first started your job, did you receive any training from at United, and tell us about how you were trained to be a service ambassador?
I started by shadowing my mentor, Steven Serrano. I learned how to greet customers, give them directions, and help tag their bags at any kiosks around the airport lobby. I got to know different terminals and places around the airport.
Neat. And what do you enjoy most about your job as a service ambassador at United Airlines?
I learned many new things and got to know different people working at the airport. I especially enjoy helping customers and ensure that they have the best experience flying United.
Neat. And we first met about I think about a year ago when you first started, when myself and the other original service ambassadors from Chicago, when we came and joined you at a welcome event down in Houston. And so tell us, what was it like to meet myself and the 3 other and the other original service ambassadors when we got to answer questions from you and kind of share about our experience, that since we were the original service ambassadors. So what was it like to kind of hear from us about this job as service ambassador?
I was excited to meet other service ambassadors from Chicago and shared our experience in this great program.
Neat. So we're going to go ahead and take our final short break. When we come back, we'll get to some final thoughts and how you all can get involved in Special Olympics Texas and United Airlines. So we've got one final question for you, Stephen, at the end of the episode so that we conclude all of these conversations with. So we'll get to that final question after this final break. Our guest is Stephen Yuen from United's Houston hub, and we will continue after this final break right here on SpecialChronicles.com. Hey, friends, podcast listener friends. I'd like to take a brief moment to let you know about how awesome StreamYard is. StreamYard is the easiest way to create professional live streams. StreamYard is a live streaming studio in your browser. Interview guests, share your screen, and much more. Stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and other platforms. Sign up for StreamYard and get $10 in credit with our referral link at specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. That's specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. You see the link right below on the screen here, and also will be in the show notes in the description below. But all of us at Special Chronicles, we love StreamYard. I've got a coffee mug I'm drinking coffee out of. Got a t-shirt on. I've got a sweatshirt. This StreamYard Puddles plush duck. Puddles the duck here in the studio. And just really love it. Makes really love StreamYard. It makes it easy to connect with guests. Just send us the link to join StreamYard and easily have a professional logo and banners and graphics, and it just makes it easy to pre-record, to live stream on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Really love StreamYard. It's helped to make the audio podcasts and the video versions of the audio podcast that I've been doing for the past 13 years. Has helped to make the video versions up to the next level, to a more professional level, while also making it easy to live stream. So all of us at Special Chronicles love StreamYard. Once again, if you want to sign up with StreamYard, specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. That's specialchronicles.com/StreamYard to sign up and get $10 in credit with our referral link. I hope you all will sign up for StreamYard, and happy live streaming. And until then, sign up for StreamYard and get $10 in credit with our referral link at specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. That's specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. And now back to the show. Our guest this week on the Special Chronicles show is Stephen Yuen from United's Houston hub. And so now, right before we get to that final question, a few plugs. If you all tuning in, if you're all listening to this episode 488 of the Special Chronicles show, or season 3, part 5 of our Unified at Work series, and you are in Texas, you can get involved in Special Olympics Texas at SOTX.org. That's SOTX.org to learn more. Or if you meet Stephen or any of the other service ambassadors at the Houston airport for United Airlines, you can ask them how to get involved. But we'll put links in the show notes on specialchronicles.com to how you can get involved in Special Olympics Texas, SOTX.org. And if you are listening and you all and you don't live in Texas and you're somewhere else across the U.S. or across the globe and you want to get involved in Special Olympics, specialolympics.org. That's specialolympics.org is where you can get involved and find your local program to get involved in Special Olympics and become an athlete, coach, volunteer, get involved in our athlete leadership programs or health programs, or school programs. So specialolympics.org is where you can find your local program. And I also want to let you know, if you are enjoying this episode, you can find more of our Unified at Work series, specialchronicles.com/Unified at Work, specialchronicles.com/Unified at Work for more conversations about the meaning of inclusive employment. And if you want to meet other service ambassadors, other Special Olympic service ambassadors at United Airlines, you can go to specialchronicles.com/meet SOSAs. That's specialchronicles.com/meet SOSAs, SOSAS. And you can hear conversations with myself and the other service ambassadors in Chicago, as well as Denver's hub. And now throughout this next month, we will be premiering conversations like you hear this week with Stephen and the other service ambassadors in Houston. So we'll put all those links in the show notes on specialchronicles.com. And remember that this episode is sponsored by Bridge, United's business resource group connecting people with all abilities. You can book your travel today at united.com or the award-winning United app. And Stephen, do you have any, before we get to that final question, do you have any final thoughts on your overall time here today on the Special Chronicles show? Do you have any final thoughts, Stephen, on coming on this?
I am excited to be here to share my experience of the Special Olympics program and being a service ambassador at the United Airlines.
Awesome. So before we get to that final question, we've got a bumper that we're going to go ahead and play, and then we'll get to that final question right now.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
Equality.
Dignity, and the recognition of our shared humanity.
We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
And as I'm sure a lot of listeners know, inclusion is a big part. Inclusion revolution is a big part of Special Olympics, and inclusion is also a big part at United Airlines as well. And so, Stephen, like I do with all the guests on this podcast, we always conclude these conversations with talking about inclusion. So I'll do the same with you and ask you, what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion to me means I am accepted by my family, friends, and local community. It also means I am given a chance to receive good education and employment opportunities if I'm willing to work hard.
Awesome. Well, that's a perfect way to wrap up this episode of the Special Chronicles show. I want to remind all of you listening in that the Unified at Work series features conversations about the meaning of inclusive employment, and you can listen to more conversations, specialchronicles.com/unified at work. And the Unified at Work series is sponsored by Bridge, one of the United's business resource groups that's connecting people of all abilities. And you can visit specialchronicles.com. That's specialchronicles.com for links to follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and join in the conversation there. If you enjoy this episode and share this episode with your friends, so we can grow our audience. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating and review. And you can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube to watch the live stream video episodes, and sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com for links to subscribe and follow. And we'll be back next week with another Special Olympics Service ambassador at United's Houston hub. As we continue throughout this next month, as we conclude season 3 of our Unified at Work series, we'll be bringing to you more conversations with service ambassadors from Houston right here on the Unified at Work series on Special Chronicles show. And we will see you all next week right here on specialchronicles.com. And until then, have a great week. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Shows podcast. Visit specialchronicles.com to follow Special Chronicles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of new episodes. Also, subscribe to our newsletter mailing list to sign up for updates and get exclusive content delivered to your inbox. Remember to do what you do with these podcasts. Subscribe or follow and rate and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, and wherever you get your podcasts. Finally, please share this episode and all of our podcasts with your friends and family. Help us grow our audience and reach 5,000 downloads of our audio podcasts and over 14,000 average monthly listeners. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week with exciting new guests. See you next week.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.